Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole relationship subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for cutting off my daughter after she slept with her sister's husband? I, 59 female, have two daughters. Emma, 35 female, and Chloe, 33 female. Emma has been married to her husband, 36 male, for 11 years, and they have two children together. Chloe has been married to her husband, 34 male, for 8 years, and they have one 5-year-old son. About 6 weeks ago, Emma called me just after midnight, completely hysterical. She told me she had suspected for months that her husband was hiding something. He'd become distant, constantly guarded his phone, and was always finding excuses to stay late at work. That night, after he fell asleep beside her, she looked for his phone for the first time. She found years of explicit messages between him and Chloe. The affair had been going on for almost 4 years. Emma was devastated. She kept asking me how her own sister could do this to her. A few days later, we're at my brother's birthday party when Emma confronted Chloe outside. Chloe denied everything at first and insisted Emma had misunderstood. When Emma said she had read the messages herself, Chloe completely fell apart. She started crying, admitted the affair, and kept repeating, "I don't know why I did it. I'm so sorry. It was the biggest mistake of my life." Emma asked how 4 years could possibly be a mistake. Chloe had no answer. The argument escalated into a screaming match. Chloe tried to slap Emma, but several relatives stepped in before she could. Chloe's husband quietly took their son home after realizing what had happened. Within days, he told Chloe he wanted a divorce. Emma also filed for divorce after her husband admitted everything. After it all came out, Chloe called me 82 times in one day. I answered once because I hoped she was calling to explain herself. Instead, she cried the entire time, begging me not to abandon her. She said she had already lost her husband, was probably going to lose shared custody of her son, and couldn't bear losing her mother too. She said she knew she didn't deserve forgiveness, but begged me not to hate her forever. I told her I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I said this wasn't one bad decision. It was years of lying to her sister, her husband, and the rest of us. I told her I loved her because she's my daughter, but I didn't want contact with her for the foreseeable future. Since then, I've ignored every attempt she's made to reach out. This is where my family thinks I'm wrong. My sisters say Chloe has already lost everything. A marriage, a relationship with her sister, many of her friends, and likely the family she dreamed of giving her son. They say she's genuinely remorseful, has started individual therapy, and isn't trying to justify what she did. They argue that if her mother won't stand by her child after they've hit rock bottom, who will? They also remind me that cutting Chloe off means my grandson is growing up without his grandmother, even though he's done nothing wrong. I understand all of that, but every time I think about welcoming Chloe back into my life, I picture Emma reading those messages alone in the middle of the night, realizing that the two people she trusted most have been lying to her for years. I don't know if I can move past that. My family says I'm punishing Chloe forever for something she already deeply regrets. I feel like I'm simply refusing to pretend it never happened. Am I the arsehole? I know a lot of people are used to seeing cheating posts and always think they are fake, but what would you do if you were in my shoes? It's the 4 years that I keep coming back to. It wasn't like a drunken mistake. Cheating's still cheating or whatever, but it wasn't a drunken mistake or terrible judgment or something along those lines. It was 4 years of choices, deliberate choices, like the lies, deception. There was Christmases, birthdays, family gatherings, and every time Emma was trusting her husband or Chloe, then they both knew what was going on in the background. And don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for Chloe's son because he is completely innocent, so I wonder if there's a way to work around that. I don't like people telling OP that they're abandoning Chloe. She isn't disowning her because she made a silly mistake or whatever. She's stepping back and taking some space, legitimately so, because her daughter betrayed her own sister over 4 years. I keep coming back to that 4 years because it's just so wild. But Jessie in the comments says not the arsehole. She's not genuinely remorseful. She's sad she got caught and is facing consequences. Can't you have a relationship with your grandson via his father? Tell your sisters to mind their own business. This is between you and your daughters, nothing to do with them. Opie says, I can kind of have a relationship with him, but the problem is that he wants his child to grow up closer to his own family, who lives in another city rather than his ex-wife's family. The commenter says not the arsehole. Chloe is only regretful because she's been caught. It's not like it was a one-time thing for even a couple of months. It was 4 years. That requires active decision-making to not only continue the affair but to hide it from her husband and her family. I think space right now is definitely needed. Try to find a way to stay in contact with your grandson's father, and I personally believe if you cut out Chloe, then it may make things easier for your ex-son-in-law to trust and allow you to visit if he gets sole custody. She is an adult and has to live with her choices. I wouldn't be able to speak with my sibling if they did this to me. I think as a parent, you love your child no matter what, and you still can. But I don't think you're the arsehole to cut contact with Chloe. Whether it is permanent or not is up to you. Chloe made this choice and these are the consequences. She lost everything because her and Emma's husband destroyed each other's lives and marriages. That's the worst thing you can do to a sibling. Umbrell says not the arsehole. This wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated and prolonged affair with a man her own sister loved and married. That's not to mention the betrayal to the man she herself married, which is a second level of despicable. Chloe isn't genuinely remorseful. She's genuinely wishing she hadn't obliterated her entire support circle in one fell swoop. She's crying that she has to face the consequences. She would have kept it going for who knows how long if this had never come out. That she denied it at first is all you need to know. To know she doesn't feel a shred of remorse. She just doesn't want to lose you along with everyone else in her life. Whether she does is entirely up to you. I personally could never look at my child the same way if they felt so utterly callous about betraying the two people she's supposed to love the most in the world. Ceramic Savage says, what Chloe did is unforgivable, and she absolutely has to face the consequences of her behavior. Just as an aside, she isn't going to lose custody of her son for having an affair. That's not how custody works. Her being a terrible partner has no bearing on her mothering skills in a court of law. Chloe completely blew your family apart and you need time to process what that means for you and her relationship. You need space to support your other daughter and figure out whether this is something you can move past. Your sisters can support her if they want and you just focus on Emma and what she needs for now. Emma lost everything because of Chloe. Chloe willingly threw away her support system. Emma is the one who needs support from you. You're all she has left. You don't have to cut Chloe off forever, or you can. That's up to you. Take the time to process no matter how long it takes. Not the arsehole, and update me. And one more comment from Intrepid Much who says, I think if your heart can take it that you could reconnect with Chloe. Don't try to foster a relationship between the two sisters though. Also, you need to make sure that Chloe knows if family events mean her or Emma, that you are choosing Emma. What Chloe did was awful and a simple apology cannot and will not erase that. Some aspect of your mother-daughter relationship will never be the same and she needs to be okay with that. I think you should check with Emma before you reach out to Chloe. Tell her your misgivings and the why fors. Let her weigh in since she was the wrong child. Emma may not like it, but she deserves to hear from you if you decide to reconnect. Nothing here is easy. Chloe did awful things for an awful long time. The lies were many, the smiling in the face and stabbing Emma in the back went on for years. Chloe slept with her brother-in-law for 4 years. She didn't care about anyone's feelings when she was doing it. She probably shared more than one laugh about it with your ex-son-in-law. That's a really hard pill to swallow. Still, if you're weakening and you're ready, talk to Emma, set boundaries with Chloe, and never forget. So Opie came in with her update and said, I know it's very early for me to post an update and I wasn't planning on it, but after reading the comments on my first post, I decided I needed one final conversation with Chloe before I completely closed the door. I went to her house yesterday and I expected her to be emotional after calling me 82 times in one day, but she was surprisingly calm. I asked her the one question I still couldn't understand. Why? She admitted she'd been attracted to Emma's husband for years. She said what started as admiration eventually became feelings and over time they crossed a line. Instead of ending it, they kept convincing themselves it would be the last time. She insisted she regretted everything. I asked if she had spoken to Emma. She told me the only contact she'd had was one text before Emma blocked her on everything. Emma told her she had destroyed their family, taken away her children's stable home, and that she hoped the affair had been worth losing her sister forever because, as far as she was concerned, Chloe no longer had one. Emma blocked her immediately afterwards. Chloe also admitted she later waited outside the school gates hoping to speak to Emma when she came to collect the kids. Emma refused to speak to her, warned her to stay away from her and the children, and told her that if she ever approached them again, she'd regret it. Chloe left crying. I told Chloe her waiting outside the school was completely inappropriate, regardless of her intentions. She insisted she only wanted to apologize and prove she cared about Emma. I then asked if she truly felt remorse. That's when I completely lost my patience. Instead of taking full responsibility, Chloe started telling me Emma's marriage had already been falling apart, that Emma and her husband had been drifting apart for years, and that he often confided in her. She admitted the affair was wrong, but repeatedly tried to place part of the blame on Emma, saying if their marriage had been happier, none of this would have happened. I was furious. I honestly couldn't believe I'd raised someone capable of thinking like that. I told her there is no marriage bad enough to justify secretly sleeping with your own sister's husband for 4 years. I told her I wasn't just disappointed, I was ashamed that she was my daughter. The more she tried to justify herself, the angrier I became. The conversation eventually turned to her own divorce. She talked about how difficult everything had been for her and how her husband still plans to move to Washington with their son to be closer to his family. She said she may have to move there too if she wants to stay close to him. As she spoke, I realized almost everything was about what she had lost. Her marriage, her home, her reputation, and possibly seeing her son every day. Very little of it was about Emma or the damage she had caused. At the end of the conversation, Chloe asked if we were cool now. I told her no, we were not cool, and we might never be. I said that if I ever found it in my heart to reconcile with her, it'd be on my terms and in my own time. Not because she thought one conversation could erase 4 years of lies and betrayal. I walked out feeling angrier than when I arrived. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I love both of my daughters, but after that conversation, I'm not convinced Chloe truly understands the pain she's caused. A commenter below that says, why does the other woman always believe the my marriage is falling apart and I'm not actually close to my wife bullshit every single time? We all know this man would have happily remained in his marriage with his side chick sister-in-law forever if Emma didn't find him out. Hell, he's probably begging Emma in text to give him another chance, and that Chloe means nothing to him. Tale is old as time, but the women keep falling for it. Baffling. OP says, I'm pretty sure there might be a final part 3. I'm not sure how many parts I can keep making before Reddit says otherwise. Emma and her husband did have some problems, but they were mostly, if not always, minor and nothing serious. I'm still trying to process how it was going on for 4 years without anyone knowing. A commenter says, unfortunately, children sometimes turn out completely different from you. This is the case. Looks like she doesn't understand boundaries and feels entitled to her actions. She probably will lose more than her own sister, mother, kid, and husband. She probably will lose her friends, job, career. It's so sad. Not the arsehole taking a step back is a good idea. She thought you'd be okay with her cheating and pick her side. Seems it's that commenter's birthday, so happy birthday, okay listen, 8519. And one more comment who says she doesn't understand the pain she has caused because she is a selfish person, only concerned about how life affects her. She may come to fully understand the repercussions of her actions, but is unlikely to be anytime soon. At the end of the day, that is your child. As much as it hurts and as disappointing as she may be, you're still her parent. I don't think I could fully cut a child out of my life, no matter how deeply they have betrayed me, but I understand your pain. It is perfectly acceptable to ask for some separation. It is perfectly acceptable to take your time to work through your own feelings of betrayal, and it is perfectly acceptable to give her some time to attempt to fully understand how much pain she has caused you and your family. But keep that door open, just a crack. It may never happen, but you should be open to reconciliation if she ever manages to figure it out. That final conversation, it kind of just said it all, didn't it? Because up until then, I thought there was at least some kind of slim chance Chloe might have understood the damage that she had done and was basically drowning in guilt. But instead, she tries to justify what she did by saying Emma's marriage was always struggling, and it's just bloody no. And then she's waiting outside the school, and OP's realization that Chloe only talked about what she had lost, her marriage, her reputation, her home, and possibly moving to stay near her son. There was very little about Emma losing her husband, her children's stable family, or the fact that her own sister was one of the people betraying her. And then asking at the very end, are we cool now? It was just like, oh my, really? And again, I feel sorry for Chloe's son in this because he is completely innocent, but I don't think OP is wrong to step back because it doesn't sound like she's really remorseful. I mean, she's trying to spread the blame around, isn't she? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Possible Other Woman, who says, my 25 female, longtime best friend 25 male, keeps messaging me from his honeymoon. I don't know how to end the friendship. This is a throwaway because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get a lot of hateful messages, and I want to protect my actual Reddit identity. Will and I have been friends since pretty much forever. We literally grew up together. Our mothers are best friends, and we were raised by each other's families in this sort of semi-commune type situation. His mum is like a second mum to me, and mine is the same to him. We've both always said that we lucked out to have two sets of parents and this huge extended family because of it. I see him as a brother, exactly as a brother. I feel the same way about him as I do my bio brothers. I've never had any romantic feelings for him, and it's honestly disgusting when people make jokes about that to me. I always thought it was the same for him, because that's what he told me several times over the years. We all went to the same local university and lived at home, and by all, I mean me, my siblings, Will, and his siblings, to save some money and because, honestly, it's a great school. So because we stayed so close, we all met everyone's SOs and really got to know them. I clicked with Will's college girlfriend, Sarah, who he proposed to last year and married last week. I couldn't be happier for them, and to have Sarah as a sister in our weird little family. Which is what makes this next part even worse, because I'm not sure how to handle this. Will messaged me on their wedding night and told me that he had always loved me, and he hoped that I'd feel the same way too. And he only got married to Sarah as a way to make me realize my feelings for him and fight for him. He had tried to provoke a reaction, and he didn't love her. He didn't want to be with her, and now he just wanted to tell me because he'd leave her for me, if I wanted. I didn't know what to say, so I just signed out of everything for the night and cried because everything about that just made me feel sick, and it was too much, just too much to process. It was like my brother was admitting incestuous feelings for me. He messaged me throughout his honeymoon, almost all of them begging me to run away with him, and a few of them were blaming me for leading him on, which still makes zero sense to me. I've never flirted with him, act the same way around him as I do any of my siblings, literally nothing is different. He said that he'd always see me in his head as the other woman, and because of me, he'd never be able to fully love Sarah, who he admits is, on paper, his ideal spouse. I don't know what to do because both of us stand to lose a lot no matter how this all goes down. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my family because of this, and not just his side. Everyone is close, and I'm identified as the problem. I'm afraid that I'm going to be pushed out, but maybe that's what needs to happen. I really don't know. Reddit. How the fuck do I deal with this hugely fucked up situation? I need some outside advice, and I don't have anyone in my life who doesn't know any of the people involved in this. An edit for more information. Sorry I didn't include this to begin with, but I'm not thinking 100% clearly right now. I still feel just terrible about everything. More info. Our families live in the same house, and our parents shared parenting duties for all children. When I called out for daddy in the middle of the night as a little girl, both dads came running, for example. Our families are so intertwined and always have been. I feel like Will just handed me this huge bomb. I think there's going to be a massive fallout from this, and that breaks my heart. We're all very close and tightly knit. I keep cycling between sad, angry, and betrayed. I'm upset because I feel like he's tasking me with breaking Sarah's heart, and I hate him for that right now. I love Sarah, possibly more than he does at this point. TLDR, best friend, who is essentially my brother, admitted feelings for me, wants me to run away with him, and I'm disgusted by it all. What do I do? Now, there's a couple of things I'm thinking on this one, and one of them may be my Reddit brain is completely rotted. But for a moment, I was wondering whether this is Sarah testing OP at the same time. Again, I don't know if that's a fair thing to say. However, if it is him, like, incredibly selfish. He didn't just betray Sarah by marrying her under false pretenses. He also dumped this on OP's lap. She spent her whole life seeing him as a brother, and now suddenly she's responsible for deciding whether she has to tell Sarah and risk blowing up this huge family that they have, or carry a horrible secret. We know what needs to happen, that it needs to come out in some way or the other, because it's not going to end well either way, but OP didn't ask for any of this. Sarah certainly didn't. And the only person that created this situation was him. Unless, of course, it's Sarah. Owl says, I think you need to send him one single message that tells him you're sorry, but your feelings are so polar opposite to his, and that you do not and never have and never will have romantic feelings for him, because you don't have the capacity to see him as anything but a brother. Tell him you hope this is a strange manifestation of cold feet and encourage him to work on his relationship. After that, I'll probably go quiet with him for at least a while. Keep all communications courteous but not close, and do not pursue a conversation in writing or in person anytime soon. Hopefully when you see him again, it'll be as it always has been. It is very troubling though, that it goes so far with this charade that he says now, after the vows are made, that he only pursued a relationship with Sarah to get your attention. I mean, what the fuck? That's psychotic, and that he's now trying to paint you as a villain, suggesting you messed with him by insinuating romantic interest, just sort of puts the nail in the coffin. Given these things, I think you should seriously consider alerting your own family and possibly at least his mother to this situation. It isn't just that someone you always considered a brother has confessed romantic feelings. He's becoming manipulative of you and has been terribly irresponsible and harmful in his handling of the Sarah situation. A deleted user suggests saying, "Will, I do not know what I have done to give you the impression that I'd be in any way receptive to these confessions, but I assure you I am not. Never was and never will be. You're on your honeymoon. Either put the phone down and go work through the crisis with your wife who loves you, or I'm going to have to explain to her why her husband's ignoring her and offer my deepest sympathies that he has apparently lost his mind." The commenter then says, "This is not your fault. Anyone who thinks it is not anyone you need in your life, any more than you need Will. If this is truly how he feels and is willing to treat Sarah, tell him in no uncertain terms to leave you alone and do what you have to do if he ignores that." A commenter asks, "Are you positive this isn't something his wife is doing without him knowing, to attempt to catch you with feelings for him?" Opie says, "Honestly, I don't know. I don't think Sarah would do this, but I also had never thought that Will would do this either. I mean, Sarah knows our family, and she knows that we grew up together in the same house. To me, that would be like someone trying to catch their spouse's adopted sibling with feelings for them, which is just insane to me. This is insane no matter how you cut it though. Ugh, I don't know." And one more commenter says, "Don't blame yourself. Will has showed his true colors, which is to be a deceitful ass who's in his own fantasy world. You've obviously shown him nothing but brotherly love his whole life, and of course he still sees things the way he wants to see them. I would save and screenshot all these messages and send them to his new wife and let her know how disgusted you are and how you cannot even talk to him at this time. You did not ruin their marriage. You might think it's best to let them have a go at it, but as soon as he sees some other opportunity or grass is greener type situation, he will ditch her super fast. Fuck this guy. Go to your parents for support and tell them the truth." So it was 2 months after that one that OP came in with an update and said, "Holy crap, has it been a stressful month." The original plan was to wait 2 weeks from the time I posted to deal with it with Sarah and Will, but I ended up spilling the beans to my mum around 3 days after the post went up. She noticed that I wasn't my usual self and pried it out of me like mums tend to be able to do. She was flabbergasted and honestly didn't believe me until I showed her the messages on my phone. She called my dad and Will's parents into an emergency family meeting and we all talked about it. I broke down crying and told them everything that I told you guys, and to my surprise, rallied around me in support. We all ended up crying and had a really long talk about our combined family and what this could mean for all of us. It was agreed that something somewhere went wrong because while the sibling flag was raised in my mind when it comes to Will, it wasn't with him. I didn't get to this in my original post, but Will and I were the youngest. We were born just a matter of days apart, and he and I are closer than we are to any of our siblings because we always did everything together. He's my best friend, but more importantly, in my mind and my heart, he's my brother. I expressed all of that to them, and they agreed that my feelings were what they were going for when they opted for a shared family. We all felt like this was incest. That night, we started researching local therapists who deal with situations like this, and the next day, we chose one for me to go to, because honestly, it was traumatic, and I had a lot of feelings that I just didn't know how to cope with. I'm still in therapy, and it's going pretty well. I'm dealing with a lot of shit and starting to feel better. We decided to keep this between the parents and I until Will and Sarah got back from their honeymoon. The night they got back, we had a huge family dinner with her family there too. None of us, parents and I, were excited about it, but we couldn't cancel because it had been set in stone as the only time it would work for everyone for a longish period of time. I spent that night trying to keep my distance from Will because honestly, I couldn't handle being around him. He thought this was odd and ended up cornering me outside in the garden. He asked me what was up. Why was I acting so weirdly? I told him that he knows why and tried to walk away. He grabbed my arm and tried to pull me back towards him, but I resisted. I ended up breaking down and telling him that I would never and could never feel the way about him that he felt about me. I saw his look of genuine confusion, and my heart and stomach sank. He had no idea what I was talking about. Those of you who guessed that it was Sarah all along were actually correct. His phone went missing during their trip, and he hadn't cared because he was excited to be on his destination honeymoon. I told him everything. He threw up in the koi pond, and we hugged for what felt like forever. I broke down crying again because my knee-jerk reaction had been to cut him out of my life, and through sobs, I was able to get that out. He comforted me and told me that he understood, because almost everyone whose friend and brother decided to hit on them would probably feel similarly. He said that he'd never hold my hurt reaction against me. We've been friends and family for way too long. We just sat there for a while because neither of us knew what to do. Because, come on, the situation was fucked. Eventually our mums came out and flipped out when they saw us together, and like amazing mums sprung to my defense. We got them to calm down and explained everything, that it had been Sarah, and Will's mum lost her cool. She went into the house and ended up apparently tearing Sarah a new one. I don't know all of what was said because I remained outside with Will, trying to calm down from everything. Fast forwarding a bit, Will decided to divorce Sarah. It came out that she'd always been jealous when it came to me and absolutely hated me. Her goal had been to either get me to admit to feelings for Will so that he'd cut me out, or to get me to cut him out. It also came out that she had never been faithful to Will and had regularly cheated on him throughout their relationship. So honestly, he dodged a bullet, albeit a bit too late. Will's moved back in, and we are both looking at finding a place together as roommates, and he's gotten into therapy as well to deal with everything on his end. So in the end, my world didn't collapse. My bond with my friend and quasi-brother only deepened, but he ended up heartbroken. I'm so angry at Sarah for putting us all through that when really she should have and could have expressed her feelings to me, and we could have probably addressed things. But then again, she was still a cheater. Just ugh, I don't even know what to think. So I guess it's a happy update? TLDR, you guys were right. Sarah was fucking crazy. Will's getting divorced and he and I are going to live together for a while as we heal from all of this. Commodore says to OP, why doesn't Will file for an annulment? OP said, nope, he looked into it, but it's not an option for him in our state since he didn't enter into the marriage by force or fraud and no party involved was unable to consent to marriage. Sarah has agreed to not contest as long as he pays for her filing fee, so all in all the divorce is only costing him around $600 when all is said and done. I'm chipping in to help too. Thankfully he had a prenuptial agreement, as it clearly lays out who gets what, so she hasn't taken anything that she didn't come into the relationship with, which is awesome. I'm proud of him for protecting himself. He has bought a house a couple of years ago, but doesn't want to move into it, so he's renting it out for the time being. Anyway, the divorce is as good for him as a divorce can possibly be, and he's made jokes about having a really good divorce story now. Lol. I know I mentioned it after the first part of the story, but I still didn't actually see that coming. I thought it was going to be Will in the end, but I mean, what was Will's wife doing in this situation? How did she think that was going to end well, that this wasn't going to somehow make its way back to Will in some kind of way? On your honeymoon of all things as well. So, they just got married and first thing she does is start texting OP about all this kind of, oh, bloody way to blow your own life up. But I think the parents deserve a lot of credit in this too, that they didn't immediately start pointing fingers or making assumptions, that they believed OP and supported her at the same time. Got her into therapy as well, which was a great thing because after this shit show, holy moly, you definitely need a couple of sessions, right? But I'm glad that OP and Will did have that talk before either of them did anything, because she'd never confronted him. Sarah might actually have succeeded in getting exactly what she wanted, but at the same time it sounds like this family is so intertwined that might have never happened anyway. Someone would have always questioned what the bloody hell's going on here, and you'd have thought the information would have come out. Which again, I find it's such a bizarre decision for the wife to send this text message in the first place. Bloody hell. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.